power. Speed. The breathtaking feeling that comes from experiencing a sensation few men will ever realize. For the next 30 minutes, you will be in the driver's seat, taking a closer look at the people, the parts, the planning, which goes into making the Miss Budweiser one of the top boats in racing history. Strap on your seatbelt, for this is the story of an unlimited hydroplane providing unlimited excitement. Unlimited excitement. A look at the world's fastest boats featuring Miss Budweiser. Brought to you in part by Budweiser, proud sponsor of the 1988 U.S. Olympic team. This Bud's for you.
A tradition of horsepower. Budweiser and the king of beers, a tradition of horsepower that's making waves. Racing fans, this Bud's for you.
Todd Yarling trying to catch the Budweiser. Here comes the checkered flag. The Budweiser will win it.
In the world of unlimited hydroplanes, no boat has crossed the finish line first as often as Miss Budweiser. In all of racing, no machine has dominated like this turbine-powered Unlimited. In 25 years of competition, Miss Bud has finished on top 61 times. And 61 times over the past quarter century, owner Bernie Little of Lakeland, Florida, has celebrated with his drivers in the winner's circle. Since the early 1960s, 22 boats have raced under the name of Miss Budweiser. And while there have been many different boats, there is one common denominator tying them all together: winning. Miss Budweiser has taken home 9 national championships, set dozens of speed and course records, and since the 1960s, dominated a sport which originally dates back to the turn of the century, one which today features such formidable competitors as the Miller American and driver Chip Hanauer, the Miss Madison driven by Ron Snyder, and a racing machine known as Cellular One.
Over the years, boats have maintained different technological advances, and for several years you'll find a lot of competition until somebody breaks the mold, goes out, creates a brand new machine, and runs away with it for several years. It's obvious that Budweiser is a dynasty in its own right. They've created a winning attitude. Everything about it is first class, and typically they've been winning national high point championships.
Let the celebration begin in the Budweiser camp. Here comes Jim Kropfeld, the 1987 world champion. Jim Kropfeld in the Budweiser. Third place, Theo Boy-Alberto. And congratulations to the Bud team, their second straight national title.
In 1987 alone, driver Jim Kropfeld, owner Bernie Little, and the Miss Budweiser team took the unlimited hydroplane racing circuit by storm. All Miss Budweiser did was win the first 5 races of the season, set 15 new speed records, and finish on top in the highly competitive sport of unlimited racing for the 2nd consecutive year. 1987, though, was not without its harrowing moments. In May, during testing on Lake Washington in the city of Seattle, the Miss Budweiser was involved in a frightening blowover. Though he was trapped underwater for nearly 5 minutes, a newly enclosed cockpit saved driver Kropfeld's life, allowing him to walk away shaken but unscathed. Months later, during a race in San Diego, disaster struck again.
One thing we've noticed about the turbine drivers, both Hanauer and Kropfeld and Scott Pierce for that matter, staying way outside when they can and keep the boat speed. Look out, the Budweiser's gone over. Jim Kropfeld and the Miss Budweiser has blown over.
After many anxious moments, Jim Kropfeld was rescued and carried out of the race site on a stretcher. But thanks again to the Budweiser's pioneering safety features like the enclosed cockpit, Kropfeld would not miss a race. Spectacular crashes, spectacular victories. Make no mistake about it, 1987 belonged to a boat capable of reaching speeds of almost 200 miles per hour. One tough lady named Miss Budweiser.
fastest race boat in the world. He is one of the best, let's face it. And here comes Jim Cropfield. My goodness, flying into that first turn. He in first place is the Budweiser. Jim Cropfield is picking up another victory. Yet another win for Bernie Little.
To win the Martini Rossi High Point Trophy is no new experience to this crew, but I'm sure it's just as exciting each time it's received. Stand, if you will, to honor our world champions of 1987. The owner, Bernie Little, the driver, Jim Cropfield, crew chief, Ron Brown, and the Miss Budweiser racing team.
It's only fitting that the racing team which dominated the '87 season would likewise do the same at the sport's annual awards banquet. And in Miami this past February, Bernie Little, Jim Cropfield, and the Miss Budweiser gang reaped the rewards of their hard work. By the end of the evening, the Budweiser racing team had collected enough trophies and plaques to open up a sporting goods store. Among the many awards, Owner of the Year, Bernie Little. Driver of the Year, Jim Cropfield. Crew Chief of the Year, Ron Brown. All in all, it was definitely an evening full of proud handshakes and broad smiles for the people who make Miss Budweiser an unlimited hydroplane of unlimited power. Coming up, we'll take a closer look at some of those who make Miss Bud the best in the world of speed, power, and excitement, known as hydroplane racing. You are looking at what may be the most awesome team in unlimited hydroplane history. The owner, 62-year-old Bernie Little. The driver, 47-year-old Jim Cropfield. Since joining forces in 1982, they have spent more time in the winner's circle than any of their competitors. The smiles have been frequent. The spotlight has been there.
Rolling down the river on a Sunday afternoon.
Well, I feel fantastic. Is there any better way to start off your 25th year and to have Jim Cropfield and Miss Budweiser win the first heat?
I like what Lauren, one of the crew members, said. Not bad for a homemade boat. Bernie, how about it?
Well, yeah, you're right. The crew has done a tremendous job, but without Jim in there, he's number one, as you see. And for Jim to go out there and take the backup boat, wind up as the world champion in National High Point, we're fantastic and very happy. And thanks, Jim, for one great job.
To understand why the Miss Budweiser racing team has been the class of big league hydro racing, you first have to understand the man who's been its driving force since that day in 1962 when it all began. By glancing at the ring on his finger, the watch on his arm, his extravagant 143-foot yacht known as the Big Eagle, or any other aspect of Bernie Little's life, you wouldn't know this self-made millionaire never even went to high school.
I got to the 8th grade in school, and I peddled newspapers, and I shoveled snow and carried golf bags over my back, and whatever it took to get the job done. And when I got through the 8th grade, I never did get any further. I went to work, and I've been working 12, 14, 16 hours a day ever since, and I just don't know any different.
Today, this man who doesn't know anything but hard work successfully owns and operates 3 Anheuser-Busch distributorships in Central Florida. He also buys and sells yachts and airplanes. But his passion runs deepest for objects that move fastest. And whether that means race cars, as it was on this day when Bernie entertained friends aboard his yacht while watching the Miami Grand Prix, or unlimited hydroplanes and his own Miss Budweiser, Little admits to being hooked on the sport of racing.
I like speed, and I like a good challenge, and I like competition, and I just like to be faster and better and quicker than anyone else on a race course.
Racing is his passion, but business is his life, and every day Little pilots his own helicopter to work. Inside, his office is virtually overrun with just some of the hundreds of trophies his boats have collected over the years. The man who's never missed a single race since he first got involved in hydroplanes 26 years ago is the winningest owner in the history of the sport. It was back in the early 60s that Bernie acquired his first racer from band leader Guy Lombardo. a deal that would forever change his life.
I like excitement, and I sure want to tell you that there's nothing more exciting to get your fanny in that boat that speeds up to 170 or 80. It's the most exciting thing you can do today that I know of.
So the Budweiser picks up a victory here in Tri-Cities, the Budweiser Columbia Cup.
Each year, the victories mount for the boat that bears the Bernie Little name. No one has won more, nor enjoyed it more than this man whose face is lined with the joys that come from 26 years of racing, the many years of being on top. Bernie and Miss Bud, a boat and a boss that were born to win.
Do you like boat racing? Or are you afraid? Or is it fun?
Over the years, Jim Kropfeld has heard them all. And while he faces many questions, such as why he's willing to risk his life driving a machine that can zoom the length of a football field in 1 second, no one questions this man's talent as a driver, a racer, a winner.
My driving is just something, it's a natural ability. I don't feel I'm that great because it's something I do naturally. I think if I would have started out being a bad driver and had to go to school and take lessons and go to classes and practice, and I worked my way up this far, I said, yes, I'm a good driver. I've worked at it, but I've never had to work at it. So to me, it's like something you do every day.
Like something you do every day. That's easy for Jim Kropfeld to say. But most people wouldn't dream of climbing behind the wheel of a boat that looks and sounds like it was designed to win wars, not races. Yet, since joining the Miss Budweiser team in 1982, Kropfeld has won 20 out of 48 races. That adds up to a winning percentage of .417, the highest in the history of the sport.
Great start for Jim Kropfeld of the Budweiser, Steve. Actually,
it seems like I'm just the first time I ever got in a race, but I was made for it, or the boat was made for me, or whatever. We went together.
As you've already seen, the marriage between Kropfeld and his boat isn't always smooth. Twice last year, he flirted with disaster when the Budweiser went out of control and flipped over. Though he wasn't injured, Kropfeld knows this sport has claimed the lives of quite a few drivers in the past. With the awesome speed and power these boats generate, Kropfeld and the small fraternity of men who drive the Unlimiteds realize each race could be their last. The intensity of racing is such that this Budweiser driver has, on occasion, depleted a 30-minute supply of oxygen in just 10 minutes. That's how much energy he expels during the course of a race. That's how much effort he puts into winning in a sport that's had its share of legendary drivers.
Bill Muncie was great, Dean Chenoweth was great, and at the moment, you know, I've won a lot of races and I've done quite well and broke quite a few records, but that's not just me, that's our whole team. The whole team's out there working together and doing that. I couldn't do it without those guys. I couldn't get in a boat that wasn't equal to the Budweiser and go out and do what I do.
For the past several years, no boat has been the equal of the Miss Budweiser. Much time and effort goes into the building of these boats, as you'll see right after this. As it sits there, with the first glimmer of morning sunlight gently gracing its hull, Miss Budweiser appears almost tranquil, at peace with herself. But as the day unfolds, this racing machine and her creators come alive. That early morning tranquility is quickly shattered by the sound of power and thunder generated by this turbine engine. It is here at the Budweiser Boat Shop in Seattle, Washington, that champion racers are built virtually from scratch, tended to year-round by a crew of 9 specially trained designers and mechanics. Their challenge, construct the fastest yet safest hydroplanes in the world.
We're all in love with what we're doing, and it's the fact that it's not such a monotonous job like somebody may have on an assembly line. Each day is a new plan of attack. Each day is a new problem, and as people may think that this is now the time you might call it an off-season, well, actually right now is when the work is being done. Right now is when we're constructing new boats, rebuilding the engines, And it's this work that's done these months now that prepares us for having a successful season.
Members of this crew have designed and built a new hydroplane racer each of the last 4 years. The cost of each boat may startle you. By the time they are researched, designed, parts purchased, and boats built, the total cost is said to approach $1 million. Keep in mind that a single propeller runs $10,000, a rudder almost $7,000. The research and development never ends. It seems there is always a new racer in the blueprint stage, on the drawing table. Nowadays, computers play an increasingly important role in the boat's many functions. And the Budweiser crew has even consulted with NASA about the design and construction of these futuristic racers.
Most of the racing doesn't take place on the race course. It takes place weeks and weeks ahead of time and months ahead of time, all winter long. The engineering and all the work that goes in by the crew, all the homework and the design and the trial and error and things like that. And the accumulation is naturally getting on the race course.
Here they come, racing into the first turn with better than 30,000 people here at Marine Stadium watching on.
The race course is where all the hours of research, design, and construction work together with the talents of a Jim Kropfeld to hopefully produce a winner. But like Kropfeld says, it is here at this Seattle shop where many races are won or lost. Building a champion is an extremely complex process. For a further glimpse of that, listen to some of these crew members who were asked to explain in simple terms how various parts of the Budweiser hydroplanes work.
As the air comes in through the compressor inlet, it's drawn into the compressor section. Now here is the compressor, 7 stages axial, and as the air travels back further, it gets into a centrifugal impeller compressor. The centrifugal impeller compresses the air farther, and it is diverted out to the outside of the hot section of the engine.
It's important that the wear pattern between the gears is proper with the amount of horsepower and torque that we're running through these gearboxes. They unload and load as the propeller hooks up with the water. And if the wear pattern is not right here, then we can see problems that are, and when one of these lets go, it's very messy.
We've chosen to use a modular frame setup, as you see here, basically for the simplicity of lining our gearbox and our engine application together as one unit prior to going into the race boat. Years ago, when we ran the V12 engine, that was one of the versatilities we had with that program, was to be able to take and drop the gearbox and the engine line together into the boat and made it with a shaft.
As you can readily tell, even simplified explanations sound complex when you're talking about building the world's most powerful racing vessels. And keeping them safe is another matter entirely. The Miss Budweiser racing team was the first to pioneer the ultimate in safety, use of an enclosed cockpit. The F-16 canopy is built of plexiglass. The system inside includes a form-fitting seat, a restraining harness, and emergency air supplies.
Okay, Jimmy. Okay, radio's on, computer's on. Okay, everything's okay.
In the sport of racing, safety and speed do not always exist harmoniously. But the goal of this team is to take a sport some call the most dangerous in the world and transform it into one of racing's safest.
The fact that the boat went over twice, we're not really very happy with that. But on the other hand, we are certainly running the boat to its ultimate potential, and that's basically what a racing vehicle is about. And if we're not using it to its ultimate potential, well, then we're not going fast enough.
I think the boats have reached a point where they're fast enough, quick enough. Now we're working on keeping the safety aspect, bringing that up as high as we can get it. We're working on ways right now to avoid the blowover like I've had in the past. We're doing some studies. We're having studies done by other people and wind tunnel tests and things like that. That's our big evolution right now.
The latest evolutionary step for the Miss Budweiser occurred this past March. That's when the boat was tested on Seattle's Lake Washington. The test run itself proved to be something of a media event. Everyone gathered to see how this world champion would perform after 6 months of off-season adjustments and fine-tuning. For the entire Budweiser crew, months of work came down to minutes of anxious moments. All wanted to know if their creation is ready to defend its world title.
really impressive. Of course, to me, it feels like it's not going anywhere, but you know, it rides so smooth, the water was so smooth today, and the boat handles so good that I have to look at the gauges to realize what's going on. You know, you feel like you're going about 80 or 90 mile an hour, and you have to look down, and it'd be 170 or 180, and it rode so good that it's just hard to imagine how nice it is.
We pretty much stuck to our game plan today, and everything worked at such a good pace that we didn't really have to change any of our objectives, and we're very happy and pleased with today's test.
With the test run successfully completed, this boat and its crew will now attempt to win its third consecutive world title, its fourth championship in the last 5 years. Another racing season is about to begin for this stallion of the sea.
It's one of the greatest things that's ever happened in my life. It has been my life, and I hope for the next 20 more years it'll continue to be my life.
Maybe the next 50 more years.
Oh, wow. I'll settle for 20.
Outwardly, he laughs, but deep inside, Bernie Little longs for yet another world title.
That's right.
9 times over the past 25 years, the Miss Budweiser racing team has celebrated a championship. Number 10 may be just around the corner. In the sport of unlimited hydroplane racing, with its speed and grace, danger and thrills, the Miss Budweiser team has carved a niche for itself. The owner, a small-town boy from Ohio, a successful businessman with a zest for speed, a love of challenges, a knack for winning. The driver, 20 career victories, the highest winning percentage in the history of hydroplaning, a 6-time member of boat racing's prestigious Hall of Champions. The team, ever intent on designing a boat that's bigger and better, faster and safer. And finally, Miss Budweiser, a $1 million racing machine, sophisticated and graceful. More than 3 tons of advanced technology whose only duty to racing history is to rewrite it. An unlimited hydroplane creating unlimited excitement. Unlimited excitement, a look at the world's fastest boats featuring Miss Budweiser, has been brought to you in part by Budweiser, proud sponsor of the 1988 U.S. Olympic team. This Bud's for you.